Playoff time in Southern Maryland, a rematch from last year's postseason, which ended in the Cropdusters' favor. We do it again this evening with a wild card game sitting just moments away. So glad you can join us, Cody Wagner, alongside Zach Kimmel. And after the Senators broke into the playoffs a season ago as the 6th seed, they get to host in the first round this year against a familiar foe. These squads lasted battle on Wednesday in a pair of 7-inning ball games. Zach, it was super interesting what we saw in those two. A dominant victory in the first one for the Cropdusters. Senators win the second one.
It's kind of just showing a preview that these two teams, they're colliding with each other. They're similar, and we're really excited to see these teams again for a third time. This is truly for who is better.
3 in a row. Very odd to see at the end of the season. The doubleheader was due to a postponed game that was originally meant to take place way back on June 26th. They had rescheduled it somewhere in the middle of July. It had to get pushed back again due to another rain delay. And so it was done on Wednesday night. Both teams won a game. And you got to keep in mind that first of the two games was both teams' best lineups, which you're going to see tonight. So it certainly wasn't an encouraging sign for the Senators.
And that is what I was noticing when I was looking at the lineups. These are these best teams' lineups, and in that 15-4 win the Cropdusters had, they have their best lineup from that win.
Carter Hines in to lead things off this evening for the Cropdusters. Slaps one left side, and that'll get down.
That kid is dangerous. He's one of the most deadly hitters on the Cropdusters.
A dangerous start to the ball game for Matt Hoover, who gets the start tonight for Scott Middleton. Boy, has he been unbelievable. An all-star for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Herb steps into the box next.
You know, I wouldn't be too threatened by Carter Hines on the base. Yes, he is a really good player and was on the All-Star team. But you want to try and, as a pitcher, Hoover, I would try to establish a strike. So I would try to pitch low to increase the likelihood of a double play.
Hoover, a guy that's going to fill up the strike zone. Rarely does he walk batters, just 8 on the year across 33 1/3. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel will be with you all night from Regency Furniture.
Oh, it's going to be a fun one. You're in for a show tonight.
Ripped to the opposite field. Groen tracks it into the right center field gap. Hauls it in for out number 1. Well, let's take a quick look at this Cropdusters lineup. It goes Hines, Herb, Kirk, who is perhaps the most dangerous hitter on the team. Ahern, Swenda, Fry, followed by Okoje, Lukac, and Reinhold.
Speaking of one of the Cropdusters players, I spoke to Tori Indominko before the game. He's a pitcher, and I asked him what he was working on, and he said he's working on off-speed for strikes, and also being efficient. You know, as a pitcher, you want to be as efficient and consistent as possible when you're on that mound.
Kirk leads the team in batting average, hitting .378. Hit 3 homers in the first week he was with the team. Is yet to hit a home run since.
Kirk, probably this team's power hitter. And what's the power hitter? You're going to want him to try and pitch inside.
Bouncer back up the middle. Hoover gloves it. Throw to second. They get 1. Throw on to first. Will retire the side. 3 up, 3 down for Matt Hoover in the first. Back in a moment from Waldorf. Senators bats due up. Welcome back to Waldorf. Let's take a quick look at the Senators lineup before they come up. Logan Tribble, followed by Nathan Brewer, who leads the team in walks. Carter Groen, who's tied for first in the entire league in home runs with 9. After him is the first baseman Kennedy, Nate McHugh, the third baseman Mikey Guy, Owen DeShazo hitting 7, Silas Boris in the 8th spot. And getting the start this evening is Mike Sweeney, perhaps for his great performance on Saturday where he was 2 for 3 with an RBI double. Boy, was he good.
He was indeed, and just a great hitter all around. He's just trying to be the best team player he can possibly be. And one of the things I like about this Senators team is there's no individuals on their team. They all work as a team. They're always supporting each other.
And as we had said earlier in the game, this largely the starters from the first game on Wednesday getting the opportunity this evening. Sweeney, the only guy that wasn't a starter in that game, and it kind of shows you what he proved to Coach Scott Middleton with his performance in that second game on Wednesday. He was just so good.
Just like a Mike Trout kind of player, you can say.
High bouncer to third. That'll get over the head of Reinhold. Tribble with a big round of first, and that's where he'll stay. Leadoff singles for both squads. And up comes the Senators' most consistent batter in Nathan Brewer. Unbelievable .417 on-base percentage for Brewer.
He had 2 runs on the game as well.
Michael Irby, the starter for the Cropdusters. Punched out the opposite way. Charging is Okoje. Catch made, 1 gone. And about Irby, he has been so good to this point in the year. Last 2 starts, hasn't allowed a single run across a total of 11 innings.
Yeah, in his previous game, the last time Michael Irby played, he only allowed 7 hits and only 1 run.
Apologies, 1 run across those 11 innings. 2-0, however, across those prior 2 starts.
A dangerous pitcher. Folks, I also would like to mention
Liner into left field. First and second for your Senators. Boy, did Groen put that one on a rope.
the hitters are being really consistent so far. Batters are getting on base, but an issue we've seen with the Senators all season is they're able to get guys on base, but they're being left on. So I'm hoping this for tonight's game they're able to bring these guys home.
That's something that they experienced in the second game against the Cropdusters. Left a total of 9 base runners on.
I was going to mention earlier that on that Logan Tribble single, this dirt is wet. It just rained before the game, and that dirt's going to play a huge factor in how the ball bounces.
Temperature sitting right around 80 degrees, much cooler than what we've had to deal with throughout the season.
It is really refreshing just to have some nice, cool weather rather than have some Arizona, Texas weather.
It had been like that for somewhere around a month. It had been super hot in southern Maryland.
And these temperatures, they reach insane levels, especially because of those heat advisory warnings I always get on my phone.
Particularly that game on Tuesday against the Grays was reaching up into the triple digits.
Before one game, I even asked some of the players, how are you going to manage this heat? And just by hydrating and just stretching, trying to stay.
Kennedy walking over to the dugout, left to wonder what it could be about. He's launched 3 over the fence on the season. Dangerous power hitter for the Senators and a super nice guy to be around in the clubhouse.
He is. He's basically a gentle giant. He may look intimidating, but he's so softly spoken, so humble. And I remember speaking to him one game, and he said he wanted to work on his role as a designated hitter. He's not a designated hitter tonight, but he has been a designated hitter most of the season.
That was somewhere around the midpoint of the year that you talked to him, and since then he's gotten a chance to play a lot more first base. Early in the season was DHing a lot more. Seems like he may have gotten some tape on the left wrist or a new batting glove. Can't quite tell which it is.
Or maybe the pitcher, it hit his hand, maybe his left or right hand, or maybe his arm, and it must have stung his arm a little bit.
How about that pitch from Irby, dotting the outside?
Oh, that's the pitcher's favorite pitch. Going on the outside, making the batter question, should I swing at it or should I not swing at it? Pitchers love to confuse the batter.
2-2. He fights it off. Senators trying to move past the wild card for the first time in the franchise's young history. A year ago, it was an 8-0 loss at the hands of the Cropdusters. High chopper to third, and Reinhold misplays it as he runs into Tribble. Both guys really shaking up on the play. We'll see how it's ruled, but you got a feel for both of them.
Oh, my.
Tribble trying to hustle the third. Reinhold charging the ball.
That is not a good sight to see.
Trainers out checking on both guys. We'll step aside and be right back with you from Waldorf, Maryland. Bases loaded at the moment. We'll see how it's ruled. 1 out in the inning. Umpires having a long chat with the manager of the Cropdusters and Adam Leader, and they're going to rule that the bases are loaded with 1 out for the Senators. Zach, I really thought they were going to call base runners interference with the collision, but clearly not.
It really is interesting, and just a violent collision there.
Nate McHugh up to the plate. He's handling the catching duties tonight for the Senators.
McHugh, another fun guy to talk to, and I always, whenever I try and talk to someone before the game, he always asks me, who are you interviewing today? And I say, well, I'll try and interview someone. He says, well, I'm always open for an interview, so just a fun guy to be around. Really funny teammate.
Irby in some real trouble early. And this not sort of out of the ordinary for Irby, who really doesn't frequent too much trouble.
It's not a great start for the Cropdusters defense. Now, since it's a 3-0 count, what McHugh's going to try and do here is he's going to be selective, and he's wanting a specific pitch Irby's going to pitch. So we'll see what pitch he wants.
6'2" right-hander rarely walks batters, just 8 across 25 innings.
Irby going to try and reset here with a pitch down the middle. Whenever a pitcher's ahead in the count, what they usually tell guys is try and just pitch it down the middle. Reset the count to try and get at least a strike, and then you can go from there.
And he misses away. That'll walk home a run. Senators feeling good early. Zach, let's take a quick look at your keys to the game for this one. First, on the Senators side.
My keys to the game for the Senators, no walks. You want to be consistent when you pitch as well. Consistent pitching is very important for the Senators, especially against the Cropdusters.
And on the Cropduster side?
Cropduster side, challenge the zone. What I mean by that is when you're hitting or pitching, give the pitcher or the batter a way to work. Also, be in rhythm. Try and be consistent throughout the game. That's what all the Cropdusters players always say to me, being consistent.
Bases loaded in the first inning for the Senators. A golden opportunity. The 0-1. Lifted in the air. Swendo with all the time in the world. Infield fly rule called. It's 2 gone.
What I think the Cropdusters are doing here is, hey, there's guys loaded on bases are loaded, basically. What they're doing is they're staying calm, they're not panicking. It's still the first inning, and you still have a ton of more innings to go.
Senators in their home black and the road yellows for the Cropdusters. Boy, has he been finding that outside edge early.
It's really, really a strong suit when you're able to try and get a grounder, and that is what those pitches are used for, to force those ground outs.
Irby hasn't had it easy early in this one, but just 1 strike away from getting out of things.
Yeah, I mean, Cropdusters, they're going to try and start out slow with pitching, but over the course of the games, they're going to get better. And we just saw a strikeout right there by Irby.
A big wave and a miss from DeShazo sets him down and brings an end to the inning. Senators score 1. Top of 2 coming up. Welcome back to Waldorf. Let's take a quick look at the Senators' defense tonight. From left to right in the outfield, Brewer, Tribble, Groen. Corners of the infield, Guy and Kennedy. Up the middle, Boris, Sweeney. On the bump this evening is Matt Hoover. And doing the catching duties, Nate McHugh.
McHugh, I think, is the most comfortable in his position of him being a catcher. I think he's the team's best catcher, in my opinion.
Earlier in the year, you saw McHugh have to play some third, some second at times. He definitely feels most comfortable in that catching spot.
And you have to try and shift sometimes. Coaches require you to shift to maybe second, third, outfield.
That was way early on in the year. High fly ball to right. Groen moves over, makes the grab, one gone. And as it was earlier in the season, manager Scott Middleton really hadn't quite figured out where his guys were best suited yet, and really had come to find that about 2 weeks to a month into the season, and the lineup hasn't changed much since then, day to day.
You will see in whether it's minor league, college, major league baseball, managers will experiment with the outfield and the infield where guys go in the infield and on the diamond.
Anthony Swenda up. OPS is over 1,000. Liner back up the gut is a one-out base hit.
Now batting number 35, Parker Frey.
Swendea with some great contact on that previous hit.
Parker Fry, the tallest man on this team, standing 6'5", 225.
Parker Fry has one of the more interesting helmets.
Punch the other way. That's down in front of Brewer. Two guys on for the Cropdusters with one out.
Now batting number 15,
Ahi Okoye in the 7th spot this evening for Adam Leader.
Okoye has a really good eye. He only had one walk last game, but he has a really good batter's eye, and just being consistent when looking and when to swing.
416 on base percentage, to your point, Zach. 11 walks on the year.
And he may not be a consistent hitter, but he's able to see where a ball goes and get walks and also be consistent on the base.
Went hitless, but reached twice versus Southern Maryland earlier in the week, a hit by pitch and a walk. Okoye played for the Gaithersburg Giants back in 2022, so had some experience coming into this year in the Cal Ripken League.
It is important to have leadership, especially on a team. Cropdusters, they're kind of a young team a little bit. It's important to have that leadership and that experience so you have the confidence in guys.
Pop fly. Boris calls off Sweeney. Drifts over to make the grab. 2 away. Nick Lukac. His first trip to the dish.
Lukac, one of the team's power hitters.
A home run and 10 RBIs on the season. Comes up with a man in scoring position.
Well,
trying to tie this thing up after a big first inning from the Senators.
Well, he may not be able to score a home run. He's able to just get hits. He's had 10 RBIs, which means he's able to hit and get guys home.
Played one heck of a game in the win over the Senators, blasting a 3-run homer en route to a 2-for-2 day driving home 4 runs and also walking twice. He was unbelievable.
Fire that day, is how we would say it. That was a dangerous foul ball. It almost hit a Cropdusters player as he was making his way back from the bathroom.
Lukac in a big spot, trying to knock home a run. Rarely do you see a pitch get past Nate McHugh.
He's a really good catcher, just keeping his eye and giving the signals to his pitcher.
The 2-2. Lukac fights it off.
Yeah, Nick in a slump right now. What the pitcher's going to do, he's going to challenge the batter with fastballs.
Hoover trying to bring an end to the inning and keep the score right where it is. Would expect that there's not going to be many runs to be had in this ballgame. Lifted to right and well foul.
It is not going to be a huge blowout, I think, because this is not the regular season. This is the playoffs. This has to be earned. It can't be given.
I mean, both teams just seem so locked in at the moment, both pitching and hitting.
They're determined. One must go on, and one will lose.
The payoff pitch. Called strike 3. Dots the outer half of the plate. And Matt Hoover brings an end to the away half of 2. Senators bats due up. One nothing Senators from Waldorf. To lead off the home half of 2 is Silas Boris. Boy, has Matt Hoover been on to this point tonight, Zach.
Matt Hoover being really consistent with his pitching and definitely learning from his fellow pitchers as well. And speaking to Austin Fiera before the game, talking about how he's working on a curveball.
Hoover left 2 stranded in the second. Silas Boris, second on the team and walks with 15 on the year. Hot shot back up the middle, through for a base hit. Boris starts the inning the right way and does it how Tribble began the first.
And
A
it
base hit.
looks like on that pitch, he was expecting a certain pitch, and he predicted a pitch, and he got the pitch he wanted until he was get that single.
Mike Sweeney up with a runner on. Squaring to bunt, pulls it back, and fouls it off. Sweeney was absolutely brilliant in the win on Saturday, going 2 for 3. Rather, on Wednesday, going 2 for 3 with an RBI double against the Cropdusters.
Sweeney had just a fantastic game, and we mentioned him before during the broadcast, just having a great game and being consistent with the Senators.
Stays alive. The single a moment ago, huge for Boris's confidence, who has really come on late. Was hitting about 180 just a week ago. Batting average up above 210. Grounder to short. Hines bobbles with it, and the throw to first won't be in time. He was a bit indecisive, was originally going to go 2. Boris was hustling, and Sweeney burning it down the line. He's safe as well.
Yeah, but another factor I mentioned before, the dirt. This dirt is a little wet, so the ball may slow down or it's just going to bounce all over the place. Yeah. And also going to be a little slippy, too.
Hines seemed to have played it initially just fine.
It could have
But
been
just
his
some-
footing.
Just some indecision. Perhaps this Scott Middleton team looking for a bit of small ball, especially with how good the opposing pitcher will be. Pitch gets past the catcher, Ahern, and to the backstop.
You can't make those mistakes as a catcher. This is the playoffs we're talking about. Those mistakes can definitely cost your team a playoff win, but also not a chance to play in the championship game.
To be fair to the catcher, Ahern, was a tough pitch that popped out of the dirt well in front of him on the backhand side nonetheless.
It's that dirt again.
Ripped through the hole on the right side. One run's going to score. They hold Sweeney at third. Runners at the corners for the Senators. 2-0. They lead it from Regency Furniture.
Now back, number 7, Nathan Brewer.
Harder the order coming up for the Senators. Brewer, Groen, then Kennedy.
So we have
These are-
some colorful language in the dugout, some French.
These are exactly the dudes you want up in this spot.
Your best hitters, especially with this huge advantage. A guy on first and a guy on third. My favorite type of offensive advantage in baseball.
Runner goes. Lifted high and deep to right center field. That's way back to the track. That'll get down and bang off the wall. 2 are going to score. Brewer hustling to third. Cut off and
It's a
throw there.
triple.
Won't be in time. A 2 RBI triple. Senators go up 4-0. Boy, are they feeling it right now.
I mean, you can hear it in the stadium. Everyone cheering. It is definitely electric here tonight.
Huge for the Senators, who extend their lead.
That could have almost been an inside the park home run.
And Irby, a guy that has been so consistent throughout the season, disappointing for this Cropdusters coaching staff to see how well Southern Maryland has hit off of him early. Grounder to Hines. He comes up firing, one away, but another run will come in and score.
Was able to sacrifice that first. He gets the out, and he's able to come home, distract that first.
Senators lead 5-0. Did not expect this.
This is really unprecedented.
You thought at the very least it would be a close game, and if there was going to be a blowout, it might be on the Cropdusters side due to the fact that they had that huge win over the Senators on Wednesday, but it has swung completely the opposite way tonight. 5-0 Southern Maryland.
Favor currently in favor of the Senators, but we're still in the second inning. We have the third and a ton of other innings to go, so hold your horses.
Certainly still a lot of time left in this ball game. Not suggesting by any means that this one will end out a blowout. High chopper back up the middle. Hines fields it beautifully with the throw across his body, 2 away.
It looks like the Cropdusters are trying to stop the bleeding here.
Nate McHugh back up, trying to extend the inning. He walked home a run in the first inning.
Definitely has been the Senators' show so far.
Cropdusters just trying to reset things. Forget about these first 2 innings and come back with vengeance the rest of the ballgame.
I always tell you this in sport. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Worry on how you can control yourself.
Slow chopper up the third baseline, but foul.
And what McHugh's going to try and do here is he's going to try to expand the strike zone slightly and focus on contact and being prepared to hit defensive pitches.
McHugh just trying to pass the baton. And he's unable to do so. A swing and a miss. And a great slider from Irby. But not before the Senators can put 4 more up on the board. 5-0 Southern Maryland. 5-0 Senators. Glad to have you along with us from Regency Furniture. We're having a good time up in the booth. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel.
It's an exciting start to the playoffs so far, I'd say, Cody.
It has been all Southern Maryland in this one, Zach.
But can the Cropdusters respond?
To lead off the inning is Josh Reinhold, trying to get Cropdusters baseball back on track.
Well,
They began as the only Cropdusters 2 years ago before the rebranding, have since changed to simply Cropdusters baseball. Grounder to third, guy comes up firing, one gone.
Well, Cody, it looks like we're not the only ones having fun tonight. Bethesda Big Train is up 5-0 against Metro South County Braves.
Depending upon results, Southern Maryland, if they of course can win tonight, will go on to play either the Alexandria Aces or Gaithersburg Giants. Hard to short.
Ooh.
Boris boots it and is unable to recover. Hines reaches off an air from Silas Boris.
You gotta say, these balls, they go really fast, and they can be hard to handle, and especially when the dirt, again, it plays a huge factor. I've mentioned the dirt a lot today because it's wet. They're just unable to handle it, and they go really fast.
Bryce Herb, his second trip to the plate. Flew out to right his first time up. Pending a Senators win, they would play the Aces. Hot shot through the right side. First and second for the Cropdusters. To finish my thought, Senators would play the Aces if the Big Train win. If Metro South County wins, since they are a lower seed than the Senators, Southern Maryland would go on to play against the Gaithersburg Giants.
It's kind of like the previous NFL playoff system, or it's like the baseball MLB playoff. You could essentially say these games are like the wild card, but there's no best of series in the Cal Ripken League.
Jimmy Kirk leads the team in batting average, hitting .378 with 19 RBIs.
I wonder if his team nickname is Captain Kirk. That'd be a cool nickname.
This is a guy that is huge for the productivity of this Cropdusters offense. Drove home 3 runs with a bases clearing double in the win on Wednesday.
Definitely a pretty consistent hitter. He's a power hitter.
Of course, still early in this ballgame. By no means are the Cropdusters out of it.
And it looks like the Cropdusters are getting a little bit of some light here. They have 2 guys on base.
Certainly want to start producing as soon as possible, Zach.
What I think Kirk's going to use here is there's this batting technique we call the 2-strike approach. It shortens the swing, focusing on making contact, and just expanding the strike zone to protect against strikeouts.
The 2-2. Misses just outside. Partner, Cropdusters left 2 on last inning, trying to not do so again. Just 1 away in the away half of 3. He continues the battle.
Now he's turning into a slump hitter, struggling to make contact, and the pitcher's going to challenge him to fastballs and aggressive pitches. He's going to try to maybe pitch down the middle to avoid any chance of a batter breaking.
How about this AB from Kirk?
Kirk fighting off those pitches, and he's either swinging a little bit too early or he's hitting the ball is hitting a certain part of his bat.
OPS just north of 1,000 for Kirk.
Foul ball heads into the playground.
And already 10 pitches in the at-bat from Matt Hoover.
Hoover definitely locked into a battle here between Kirk and Hoover.
And this has got to be super encouraging for the Cropdusters coaching staff with how good Hoover's been early to try to see some pitches off of him. Lifted the opposite way, growing, ranging back. He makes the grab 2 away. Throw to third is cut off by Boris. They'll check on the man at first. It gets past Kennedy.
Oh. Whoa!
Advancing is Herb, and coming home is Hines. He's going to score.
Taking advantage of the chaos is Hines. He's able to score. What?
Kennedy going down. Trainer going to go over and check on him. Jimmy Kirk has a sacrifice fly that was at first likely only going to drive Hines from second to third, and then an errant throw from Boris to Kennedy trying to get Herb too far off the bag. He's able to advance, and so a run comes home for the Cropdusters. They score their first from Waldorf. Back in a moment. 5-1 Senators. Ian Kennedy all good to go. Positive sign for the Senators. Quinn Ahern up again at the plate.
Maybe it might have hit his knee or his leg or maybe even his arm. Ball had to have hit him, and that's sort of why he went down.
Couldn't quite tell what happened on the play.
And that previous player, Cropdusters, were able to take advantage of that, and Hines was able to score home.
A big moment in the ball game for the Cropdusters. Hoover trying to limit the damage. And this is what Hoover's been great at all season. He hardly ever gets blown up, really doesn't at all. His worst performance was allowing 3 runs, a total of 4, 3 of those earned against the Gaithersburg Giants back on June 14th, and that's the most he's given up in a start this entire year. He's just been magnificent for Scott Middleton.
He has been really good, but there's also a mental aspect to pitching. It's your arm gets tired. You're working that arm and that motion for such a long time, and it's going to take an effect on you if you can try and battle through it.
Ahern able to extend the at-bat. The 1-2. Up and away. Count even.
Hoover needs to look out on second. He's itching for a steal.
That's Bryce Herb on second base. has swiped 4 bags on the season. Big league take from Ahern. Fastball just missed.
Ahern going to try and be selective here. He wants a specific pitch.
A big cut and a miss. He struck him out.
Some life for the Senators.
Hoover able to get out of trouble from Regency Furniture. Cropdusters able to score their first run of the game. 5-1, Southern Maryland in the lead. Up comes Mikey Guy to lead off the home half of 3 from Southern Maryland. Senators lead 5-1. Cropdusters scored their first run of the game in the top half of the inning.
They scored a lot of runs so far. But we'll see if that'll be enough to secure the win, as we're still early in the game.
Mikey Guy hitting .292 on the year. In the loss to the Cropdusters on Wednesday, he had a super productive day, finishing with 2 base hits and a pair of RBIs.
He had a pretty productive game.
Liner left side through the hole.
Solid contact there by Mikey Guy.
Guy reaches on a leadoff single.
Now batting number 12, Owen DeShazer.
Owen DeShazo back up.
And what Mikey Guy did on that first pitch was he did a unique strategy where he, on the first pitch, you can decide whether you want to be aggressive or want to play a little conservative.
Owen DeShazo has struck out 39 times on the year. 10 more than anyone else on the team. That has perhaps been his weakest spot, but boy, is he talented at getting a base hit when he makes contact. Guy at first. Senators trying to add to their already big lead.
The Cropdusters are going to try and maybe play a little bit more aggressive on defense. And pitcher, he's got to pick this up as we see some action in the Cropdusters dugout.
Irby remains in the ball game for Adam Leader.
Tori D'Amico said he's going to get a shot this game.
Irby, pitcher that rarely walks batters, has already done so once tonight and in danger of doing so yet again.
Surprised that the manager hasn't maybe come out and talked to him. But his catcher has tried to say, try and be calm, and he looks like he struck him out.
Off speed pitch. Catches DeShazo looking, who goes down on strikes for the second time this evening. And in steps Silas Boris. Singled in the second inning. Boris was absolutely brilliant in the second game versus the Cropdusters on Wednesday with 3 RBIs in a 2 of 4 night.
Boris is mainly a guy you would use when you have bases loaded, because in the previous game he had 3 RBIs.
Zach, your thoughts on how the Senators have looked early in this one?
I think the Senators have looked really good. Going back to my keys to the game, going back to them, they're being really consistent, not just on pitching, but being consistent on hitting, as well as bringing guys on base home.
Flared to right field. Herb coming on, and he can't make the sliding grab. Guy booking it to third. He's going to slide in head first safely. And the hot streak continues for Silas Boris.
Boris having a great game so far. And again, he's just one of those guys. He comes in, and then bang, he's able to bat and get guys on base and guys home.
And as you had kind of alluded to a moment ago, Zach, out comes Adam Leader as he makes the point to the bullpen. Just 2 1/3 out of Michael Irby. He's still responsible for the 2 guys on base. Gave up 5 earned to this point. That'll be his night. Back in a moment from Regency Furniture. Into the ball game is the man my partner spoke with before the game, Tor Indomenico. He has pitched in 7 games for the Cropdusters this season. 2-1 record. Runner goes. Pitch misses low. No throw down. Boy, was Boris moving.
Yeah, he was very fast on that. Able to read Dominko's pitch and decides, I'm going to book it, and he goes.
Likely had made a read of that while Indomenico was warming up.
Indomenico, folks, if you've been paying attention, I spoke to before the game. He's really been working on off-speed pitches.
Boy, was that a good example.
And pitching such a unique position in baseball, and a unique position in sports. You really have to adjust to the batter and to the catcher.
Pitch will run in and clip Sweeney. Bases loaded for the Senators with 1 out in the 3rd. Things starting to get away from the Cropdusters. And trying to keep things rolling is Logan Tribble. Dangerous spot for Indomenico, who has just entered the ballgame.
Whoa.
A curveball that crossed up Ahern a little bit. Able to keep it close.
Dangerous pitch there, and third was looking to try and steal. And Dominko has a word with his catcher.
No doubt Guy took a close look at it. Logan Tribble trying to extend his 2-for-2 ball game. Drove in a run with a single last inning. First batter he faced was hit by a pitch, and now Indomenico behind in the count to Tribble.
Whenever a new pitcher comes in, he has to be able to adjust to the catcher, and he just got brought in, so he doesn't really know each batter's strengths and weaknesses. He has to develop those over a short period of time.
A 4-pitch walk to Logan Tribble. And a run comes home. 6-1 Senators pulling away with this one. And up comes Nathan Brewer, who had a 2 RBI triple in the 2nd. This entire Southern Maryland order has just been on, Zach.
I mean, something had to get them fired up today to produce a score like this. Maybe Middleton spoke about maybe something serious, or he's like, this is our moment.
A line drive just foul off the bat of Brewer. Senators, before the ball game, there was a couple of social media posts that our social media intern Drew was putting together before the game. These guys were saying how they will be playing tomorrow. Boris scores from third as the flip is made to first, and Brewer is out. 7-1 Senators. And Carter Groen, 1 for 1 tonight.
Carter Groen, a dangerous hitter. He was named Hitter of the Week this season, and they intentionally walk him. What strategy?
As you mentioned, a dangerous guy. Kind of makes sense. You got a base open, 2 outs in the inning. Why not just put him on first? It's tied for the lead in the entire league with 9 homers. He's just so dangerous at the plate.
He is, and we have another power hitter coming up, Ian Kennedy.
They'll play the percentages. Makes sense to put Groen on first. 9 homers, just 3 from Kennedy. 24 runs batted in from Groen, 13 for number 42. But no doubt he's a dangerous batter as well. You're really not getting around that in the middle of the Senators' order.
Yeah, he may not bat the home runs, but he's able to bat balls in to get guys home and get guys on base.
Lifted a mile into the air. Reinhold in foul territory will make the grab to bring an end to the inning. Senators score 2 more in the home half of 3. They've scored every inning to this point. 7-1, they're on top.
Now batting number
7-1. It's been all Senators early on in this one. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel up in the booth from Waldorf. Matt Hoover remains on the bump for your Senators. Faces off against Anthony Swenda to begin the away half of 4. Swenda with the second highest OPS on the team, north of 1,000. And for the initiated baseball fans, you know how difficult that is to do.
When you have a guy on any base, it's hard to just contain him.
Swenda recorded a hit in 5 tries at the plate on Wednesday.
Not only can he get on base, he can also hit as well.
Partner, you gotta say how encouraging this start has been from Matt Hoover. Not that he hasn't allowed base runners on. He has definitely done so throughout the year, but rarely does he give up runs.
I mean, he's picking this up. This is playoffs. You have to do your best performance.
Anthony Swenda able to walk on 6 pitches. Parker Fry comes up for the second time tonight. Mike Sweeney will come talk with Hoover on the mound, and out to join him is Nate McHugh.
McHugh may be discussing what Parker Frey's strengths and weaknesses are as a hitter, where he should throw the ball and as well as making some adjustments in the defense. Which you can see, like Sweeney is spreading out and making some calls.
Giving some sort of indication to the rest of the fielders. Clearly came in with something prepared before the game, or is just seeing it as it happens.
Indeed. And it looks like we're going to see Hoover for quite some time, as I don't see any action in the Senators' dugout.
Likely won't see it for a while, as Hoover has a 4-1 record for a reason. Just doesn't really have bad outings.
No, he does not. He's as consistent as can be.
Even when he gave up those 4 runs to the Giants earlier in the year, through 5 innings. Last time he was out against the Braves. Pitched 6. That was last Saturday.
But that was against the Giants. Giants, I've stated before, if you've listened or watched the broadcast, they're my pick to win this year's Cal Ripken League. And I remember speaking to the Giants batting coach. He said he wanted his players to work on batting and consistent hitting.
Boy, has that lineup done so. A foul tip for strike 3. First out recorded of the inning for Matt Hoover.
Now batting number 15, A. Okoye.
Okoye back up. Popped out to Boris in the second inning.
Okoye, somewhat of a good fielder, plays really good defense, and we have the Cropdusters bullpen active.
And you got to realize how shocking it has been with how well the Senators have played so far tonight. This really sort of unexpected. A team that has won 2 in a row just once on the year, and they have just put it on the Cropdusters to this point in the ball game.
This is a different Senators team we've seen from the beginning of the year and in season. We have not seen a Senators team like this.
Hoover just blowing the fastball right by these hitters at the moment. Especially using that location up in the zone effectively.
It's probably that curveball or slider he told me he was working on. Or Austin Freya, correction, told me he was working on.
Popped a mile into the air and out of play.
It's always those foul balls where you think that they're going to track and you can easily track it, but then it just leans to the left in this case.
Okoye batting .271 on the year. Stays alive.
Swung there a little bit too early.
The pitch. He got him. Hoover sends Okoye back to the bench looking.
Now batting number 25, Nick.
2 away in the 4th. Nick Lukac back to the plate. Set down on strikes. His last time to the plate.
Luke is consistent in getting on base, as he had 4 runs last game.
He was unbelievable against the Senators back on Wednesday. Had a 3-run homer with a total of 4 RBIs.
And that was the first game against the Senators. It's just an interesting day that day was. Cropdusters won one game, and the Senators won the next game.
It was the Southern Maryland bench largely today that started that second game, and they played phenomenal.
It's kind of like resting your starters before a huge game. Now you can rest your big guys for the big game, especially in a playoff game.
Well, the reason for resting the starters, a liner to left. Back is Brewer on the track. He'll make the grab to retire the side. Senators remain in control from Regency Furniture. Domenico remains on the hill for Adam Leader and his guys. We can officially close the book on Michael Irby's day, who gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, and 2 1/3 innings. Certainly wasn't his night.
And as a pitcher, you have those nights where you're like, I didn't really perform that well, but maybe next night I can perform that well. But sadly, you're not going to get another one of those nights as it's playoffs.
McHugh flies out to center to start the inning. Mikey Guy trying to continue on what's been a 1-for-2 ball game. Played a season ago for the Senators. Was a big part in helping that team to the playoffs. Now trying to aid them in making it to the second round.
You got a guy with playoff experience. He's going to help try and rally your team and give that team the morale boost it really needs.
Certainly, Guy, very experienced with the Senators organization. Came up through the youth program. This is second year with the collegiate squad. Hot shot up the middle will get through for a base hit.
Now batting number 12, Owen Deshazo.
Southern Maryland has scored in every inning to this point, trying to keep that going.
Definitely are consistently, they're on the gas. They're full on that gas. That's what our coaches say. Step on the gas. Don't let up.
1 run in the first, 4 in the second, and 2 last inning.
It's been different Senators team than what we're used to.
And you just hit the nail on the head, partner. it's looked like a completely different team tonight. I mean, it's almost unbelievable.
I kind of wish we saw this Senators team in the regular season, because if we saw this team in the regular season, we could be in a better playoff position.
To look at some of the flaws, however, throughout the year, there have been times where the Senators' bullpen just hasn't quite been able to come through late in games. They've blown some big leads at times. But boy, has this lineup given you a lot to work with.
Middleton always mentioned, a team going on a run, which he meant they only went on sort of a one run. They went on a 2-game win streak, but they weren't able to get on that run in the year, and that also played into a factor.
Have won back-to-back ball games just once this season, Zach. And DeShazo able to work a walk, first and second for your Senators. To the box steps Silas Boris.
Now batting number 8, Silas Boris.
The manager, Adam Leader, will come have a chat with Indomenico.
Now, whenever a manager sometimes comes out and gives a pitcher chat, it could say you might be getting pulled soon, or you're going to say, hey, calm down. You're doing the best you can, and here's what we think you can pitch against this guy and some of the pitches you should implement.
Certainly changes from pitcher to pitcher with the different mentalities and attitudes you got to work with, and that's something that these managers figure out early on in the season, and by this point are pretty familiar with these guys.
Yeah, and each pitcher has their own different strengths, weaknesses, how they pitch. Are they left? Are they right-handed? There's different assets that makes pitching a unique position in all of sports.
Indomenico has walked 2 batters in the 1 inning he's thrown.
Domenico, when I spoke to him, he also told me he wanted to be more efficient, and it's not really shown here tonight. It could be maybe the catcher communication hasn't been very well executed.
Flown to right, Herb underneath it. Tagging from second is Guy.
Whoa!
Cut off by the shortstop Hines, who tried to lay the tag on, as Guy is forced to scamper back to the bag.
He was trying to catch Guy sleeping, and Guy was able to get back to second.
Now batting number 5,
Mike Sweeney trying to stay hot at the plate. Singled in the second, was hit by a pitch in the third. Action in the Cropdusters bullpen.
It looks like he's stretching, trying to stretch out his arms, stay loose.
Bouncer back up the middle. Hines with it. Throw to first in time. That'll end the inning. Lead stays right where it is for the Senators. 7-1. Back in a moment from Regency Furniture. Leading off the away half of 5 is Josh Reinhold, the third baseman. Top of the order due up after him.
Reinhold's a guy he can get on base. He's not really consistent. He's a consistent hitter, but he's able to just get guys on base.
Has been super good at Christopher Newport University, and he reaches with a base hit. Lineup card flips over for Adam Leader off of the single from Reinhold, and up comes Carter Hines.
Now batting number 4, Carter Hines.
We hear some Cropduster fans have made the trip to Regency Furniture Stadium.
Hines with 16 walks on the year, an unbelievable 409 on base percentage.
Such a difficult guy to play against, and he knows the game so well and just hits so well.
Has reached both times he's been to the plate so far. Out of Shippensburg University, where he's batted .320 across his 3 seasons. Bats in the leadoff spot there as well, which is something he's done this entire season for the Cropdusters.
Yeah, he was played in that All-Star game as well. Just a great hitter, mentioned before in college, just was a good hitter.
And part of that can be attributed to his time last summer playing with the Swift Current 57s in the Western Canadian League. Got to play 50 games there. .313 batting average.
Very interesting. Spending more time up there, with the Canadians.
It's kind of an interesting story for Hines. Batted .333 as a senior at Central Bucks South High School. And what's been most impressive about him is with the increase in competition, he's stayed steady with his batting average, which is really remarkable.
It is really good, and we could potentially, this is sort of my theory for this guy. I think this guy is a potential major league player. Like, I can see this guy in the major leagues.
Punched up the middle, off the glove of Hoover. Sweeney, off of his base, makes the throw in time. 1 away.
A close one, but he gets the out.
Now batting number 9, Bryce Hurd.
Boy, was that one heck of a play by Mike Sweeney.
And lots of Cropduster fans are disagreeing with the call. And it looked like he got him. I'm going to have to agree with the umpire. I think that was an out.
Sweeney having to make that throw twisted sideways on the dead run. Hot shot up the middle. That'll get through. They're sending Reinhold home. He's going to score. No throw coming from Tribble.
It's a little bit of light for the Cropdusters. Score their second run of the game.
Now batting number 38.
That'll cut the lead of the Senators down to 5.
And it looks like
slowly the Cropdusters trying to claw back into this one. Manager Scott Middleton will come have a chat with the right-hander Hoover.
Looks like this might be Hoover's game, and he's just pitched a great game overall. No?
Expected they might leave him in there. He's a guy that has been able to throw 6 innings at times through just 4 1/3 so far. So Scott Middleton will give him a little bit of a long leash with the Senators' lead at the moment. But of course, this is a winner-go-home game, so especially important.
Oh. And it looks like they gave him maybe a dugout warning.
A warning to the Cropdusters continually disagreeing with that call from our first base umpire.
I mean, I understand you have issues with some calls, but you have to act really respectful and mature. You can't just name call the umpire, and that's not going to do anything for your team, and it ruins your team.
Jimmy Kirk has the most runs batted in on the season with 19 for this Cropdusters team. Super dangerous at the dish. Just caught in my ear Mike Sweeney saying attack to Matt Hoover. Cranked deep to left field. That's going to be just foul.
Oh, that was a close one. I thought that one might have been fair, but it looks like it leaned towards the left.
Man, Kirk got a hold of that one.
That ball was sent flying. Just a great contact, just a bit to the left. Ooh, you hurt to see it. You hate to see that.
Saw his pitch, didn't miss it. Just an unfortunate result.
It does also depend on body position as well. It's kind of like golf in reverse.
Kirk was one bright spot in the loss to Bethesda on Tuesday, finishing 3 of 3 at the dish. That was a shortened 5-inning ball game.
But Kirk was able to pick it up against the Senators on that first win that they had, getting 2 hits, 1 run.
Herb leads off of first, who just hit an RBI single a moment ago. And Kirk works a walk.
There's some life for the Senators. They're starting to catch up here.
Cropdusters starting to build back. Still down 5 runs, but 2 guys on in the 5th, and that'll do it for Matt Hoover. Pitching change to announce on the other side. 2 guys on for the Cropdusters. We'll see what they can do. speculated that his abbreviated start on Wednesday may have been due to the fact that they're looking to put him in tonight, and here they do. Rivers threw 2 1/3 against the Cropdusters earlier in the week, gave up 3 earned on 4 hits, struck out 5 batters, has electric stuff.
He's definitely a really good hitter, and he even pitched in the All-Star game this year, so he's definitely a very good pitcher and not one you would want to go up against.
Really limits the walks, just 6 on the campaign. And 34 strikeouts across 24 innings. Partner, this is a guy that just has electric stuff.
Very, very talented pitcher. But electric before him was Matt Hoover. I thought he had a really good game tonight, only letting up 2 runs. Just a great game for him, and they even gave him a standing ovation. Just a great game he had.
Hoover's still responsible for the 2 that stand on base.
Other than that, it's just a darn good game.
4 1/3 from Hoover, who was super effective tonight. He struck him out. First batter that Rivers faces, he sets down on strikes. All of a sudden, 2 away. Anthony Swenda trying to extend the inning. 10 RBIs to this point in the year.
Swenda, a guy he's able to get guys home because of those hits he produces.
Rivers' most standout performance was 5 2/3 back on June 30th against the Aces, where he was absolutely magical. Gave up just 1 run, struck out 8 batters, and was huge in that game after Jacob Seek made a very short start, retired just 1 batter.
He is a really good relief pitcher.
Was in the All-Star game for a reason. The 1-1. Runner goes. Pitches outside. McHugh will decide against throwing down to third.
Important play for the Cropdusters here. A guy on first, a guy on third. You can have one guy try and run to second, and one guy try and run to home.
You'd think they will likely decide against that at the moment with 2 outs in the inning.
Man,
Like to mitigate risk. And that pitch will run in and hit Swenda.
you want to try and play a little bit conservative here. You have 2 outs, and you're still down by 5. So I'd want to try and maybe go for maybe the singles and not be a little bit over-aggressive.
Parker Fry up in a massive spot in the ballgame. 16 runs knocked home off of his bat.
Parker Fry, sort of a power hitter on this team.
Bases juiced for the Cropdusters.
Base running coach cheering him on.
2 homers to his name. Rivers can ill afford to make a mistake here.
He's going to try to adapt to the situation. He's also going to be aggressive, but also preparing to protect the plate.
The 1-1.
It's like he's trying to be a little bit conservative on his swings. Because remember, there's 2 outs in this inning.
Score is 7-2 Senators, but the Cropdusters battling in the 5th. Line drive right at Sweeney. who goes to his knee to make the grab. Rivers leaves them loaded in the 5th. But the Cropdusters able to cut the lead of the Senators down to 5. 7-2. Back in a moment from Waldorf. Up in the bottom of 5 is Logan Tribble for your Senators after the Cropdusters push across a run in the top half of the inning.
Whoa. Dangerous foul balls. That one hits against the roof and bounces back into the crowd.
Tribble walked his last time up. Is 2 for 2 on the evening. And Domenico really filling up the zone. As I say that, a pitch that misses badly.
Announcer jinx. Working on those off-speed pitches. This is number one thing he told me he wanted to work on.
Has not surrendered a run of his own since he came on back in the 3rd.
This should be a sign of maybe hope for the Cropdusters.
And Domenico, more of a long relief guy, will show the ability to give you length out of the pen. Longest appearance was 4 innings back on June 20th against the Big Train. Popped foul down the right field line.
And a relief pitcher is really important because you have to try and pick up what the other pitcher did before you. It's kind of like the last leg, the anchor on a track team.
Fouled off into Ahern's mitt for strike 3. Tribble set down swinging.
Now batting number 7, Nathan Brewer.
At the first out of the inning. And up next, Nathan Brewer, who was 1 for 3, but that hit was a big one, which really blew the scoring open in the 2nd with a 2 RBI 3-bagger.
Brewer has been a name we've talked about all night.
Is a big reason as to why the Senators score looks the way it does. They lead it by 5. But by no means is this Cropdusters team out of things. Had the bases loaded in the away half of 5, and they certainly have had offensive opportunities.
A little bit of hope in this Cropdusters team. Never count teams out. Never want to count them out.
The pitch. A big cut and a miss. And Domenico mixing up the pitches real well at this juncture.
It looks like Sweeney, the two-strike approach. He's going to try and just work on focusing on contact and shortening the swing he's going to do.
Leads the team in walks, and there's a reason for that. Often extends ABs. Hit high, out to center field. Lukac barely asked to move. Catch made. 2 down.
Now batting number 23, Carter.
It's been an efficient inning so far for Indomenico as Nathan Brewer passes off some information to the next man, Carter Groen.
Groen been a little bit quiet tonight. We haven't really heard much, but he was intentionally walked earlier in the game.
That was his last time up in the third, which loaded the bases. Ultimately, a good decision from manager Adam Leader as Ian Kennedy popped out and foul ground. And despite the lead, if things do end up going sideways, the one thing you'll look at for Southern Maryland is the runners left on 8 to this point.
They've definitely improved that over the season. So right at the beginning of the year, they sort of struggled with trying to get guys on to home, but they've really picked it up here tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to think despite 8 runners left on, they've pushed across 7.
We're going to see a little bit of what Carter Grohan's made of, why he was hitter of the week in the season.
Punch the opposite way out near that playground down the right field line.
So we've got a battle for a foul ball. Who's going to get it first? And looks like Blue Shirt Kid gets it first.
The 2-2 delivery.
Notice Grohan, he didn't swing there. And he's looking for a specific pitch. He wants the pitcher to pitch.
Swings and misses over a nice off-speed pitch. The curveball dips below the bat of Carter Groen. Indomenico through 2 2/3 clean. Ehi Okoye in to lead off the 6. Sky high, shallow left. Boris calling for it. Guy hits the deck as the shortstop hauls it in for out number 1.
Now batting number 25, Nick Lukin.
Well, a quick start to the inning for Davis Rivers.
The Senators trying to bounce back, and not a good way to start the inning.
Just 1 pitch and 1 out for Davis Rivers. If you'll remember, Nick Lukac was wonderful back on Wednesday. Drove home a total of 4 runs. Big part of that was that 3-run homer.
It's a really good game for the Cropdusters, but the Senators really weren't playing up to their full potential. They were playing most of the bench players, wanting to get them some action.
Southern Maryland lost that first of 2 7-inning games against the Cropdusters, 15-4, and wasn't necessarily encouraging, with a ton of those being the starters you see tonight. Was that second game with the bench where Southern Maryland actually had looked much better. Got to keep in mind that the Cropdusters also had a lot of their bench guys playing in that ball game.
And just resting starters, both these teams did, resting players for the big playoff game.
Also, got to keep in mind the biggest reason they had sat those starters in the second game was because they had just played an entire 7 innings and didn't want to make them play 14 that day.
Yeah.
And 2 days rest before coming back to Waldorf tonight.
Important for resting after big games. You make sure you hydrate, you stretch, and you ice. Those are what all the athletic trainers tell you.
Foul tipped for strike 3. Rivers able to blow the fastball right by him.
Now batting number 5, Josh Wernhold.
And up comes Josh Reinhold, who is 1 for 2 on the night, singled in the 5th.
Reinhold been a little quiet this game. We haven't really seen a lot of him.
Partner, you got to think that back-to-back 2-hour road trips for the Cropdusters might play some sort of a factor, you'd think, right?
Yeah, I wonder if any of them are car sick.
With traffic, that about the length from Olney to Waldorf.
And during that time when you go on long trips for games, you just prepare, maybe you listen to music, just relax, try and take it serious. Maybe even study some film, watch what the Senators do, watch what the opponent does.
Davis Rivers came in last inning, did his job, left the bases loaded. The pitch. Called strike at the knees.
Lots of encouragement for Josh Reinhold.
Rivers still yet to walk a batter this evening. pretty routine for him. Flared out the opposite way. Sweeney's got to play it off the grass. Throw will get past Kennedy at first. McHugh and Kennedy chase it near the Cropdusters dugout.
Cropdusters really needed a play like that. There was a little bit of luck on their side as well. Ian Kennedy not being able to handle it.
Scott Middleton wants an explanation.
Now batting number 4, Carter Hines.
Seemed like maybe it had hit the Cropdusters players that were standing over along the first base side. And I think that's what the manager Middleton wants some explaining about. Scott Middleton seems to understand after a brief conversation as he heads back to the dugout, and Reinhold stands aboard second. Lineup card flips over for Adam Leader. Up comes Carter Hines.
Definitely a guy you want to need in these situations. You only have one guy on base, but even so, if you get a run here, that'd be huge. Because it seems to be the Cropdusters are doing sort of baby steps trying to stay in this game.
Hines has reached in 2 of his 3 plate appearances thus far in the ballgame. Reached on an error before coming around to score in the 3rd inning. Rivers attacking the zone early in this AB.
It is important to try to attack the zone, especially against a hitter like Carter Hines. You want to be really aggressive when pitching.
Is batting .316 on the year. Has batted right around .320 at nearly every level of the ball game.
He also has a slugging percentage of .351.
The 0-2. Away, Venomous. That'll set down Hines and retire the inning. Davis Rivers leaves 1 on in the top of 6. Back in a moment from Waldorf. Senators lead at 7-2. Back in Waldorf, glad you can join us for the home half of 6. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel atop things from Regency Furniture.
And it's just a beautiful night for baseball. And
Kennedy
whoa.
slams one to left. Take a good look at it, because it ain't coming back. Ian Kennedy goes yard to begin the inning.
What a shot from Ian Kennedy. Just a whammy that ball is.
Sirens blaring in Waldorf. Boy, did he get a hold of it. Make it 4 on the year for the first baseman.
E-
Seemed like the Senators' scoring had slowed a little bit, and now all of a sudden, right back on things.
Yeah, you just get the momentum, and that might be a morale killer there for the Cropdusters.
They trail by 6. Moon full as it rises up over center field.
Looks like the moon might be a Cropdusters fan. It's got some yellow.
Just a beautiful night. Temperature sitting right around 75 degrees as it has continued to cool down.
Very, very beautiful night, and we thank you all for watching as well, especially to my uncle. He recently got into an accident. He's watching this as well and hoping for a quick recovery.
Sending prayers his way. The 1-2. In Domenico wanted it. The 2-2. Stays alive.
2-2 count. McHugh going to be a little bit aggressive and going to protect the plate as well for this next pitch.
Driven to left. That'll get down and be fair. McHugh on his horse around first. He pulls into second with a double.
Now batting number 22.
Cropdusters keep things rolling. Up next, Mikey Guy, who's trying to continue what's been a 2-for-3 ball game. Sort of hit a little bit of a lull in the middle of the season to Guy, but has come on strong late in the year.
Definitely is. He's improved over the season, and just a great guy to be around. A great teammate. He picks a lot of people up. Sort of a fan favorite as well.
That'll kick off the leg guard of Ahern. McHugh will take a big round at third, but will decide to stay right there.
Also, offensive advantage opportunity here for the Senators. That's by getting a single. Guy would get on first and McHugh on third. Huge advantage the Senators would have.
Cropdusters infield creeping in.
Definitely making an infield shift, going to try and protect home. Whoa.
Ahern keeps it in front.
McHugh wanted to run, but decided to be a little safe and stays at third.
Clutch catching. Really don't want to surrender another.
Got to try and step up here.
Back-to-back pitches in the dirt from Indomenico. Payoff pitch. Lined through the hole on the left side. Guy with an RBI single sends home Nate McHugh. And the Senators extend their lead to 7.
And it looks like we have a new batter up for the Senators, Kai Queen.
Queen coming into the ballgame for designated hitter Owen DeShazo, who was 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts.
And it looks like the manager will come out. He'll discuss something with his players.
Adam Leader out to have a chat with Tor Indomenico, and that may be it for him.
And we do see the dugout is active for the Cropdusters.
New man trotting on for the Cropdusters. We'll tell you more about him in a moment. 9-2, Senators in the lead. Kai Queen will be the first man to face off against the new pitcher into the ballgame in the form of Jaden Newton. He stands 6'4", 215. 1.3 ERA on the year. Has both started and come out of the bullpen.
And Jade Newton was the guy I spoke to last game, and he was talking about how he wanted to improve more on his pitching and trying to lessen the balls he throws.
2 2/3 from Indomenico, who gave up the 2 runs this inning. First, the home run from Kennedy, followed by the double from McHugh, who reached to third on a wild pitch. And that will get away from Newton, who tried to pick off Guy. He advances 90 feet up to second.
Looks like miscommunication there by the Cropdusters. And just another bad way that Guy gets on a second. And we had the error earlier in the game, the catcher not able to handle one of the balls thrown by D'Amico.
The 3-1. Hammered the opposite way. Catch made by Fry at first. One gone. Fry with quick hands at first.
Now batting number 8, Silas Morris.
Boris trying to stay hot. 2 for 3 to this point.
Silas Boris, a pretty consistent hitter.
Comes up with a runner in scoring position.
You also can get the offensive advantage of a guy on first, the guy on third.
12 RBIs on the year. .15 walks to his name as well.
An even count there. Silas Boris able to adapt to the situation by being a little bit conservative on that previous pitch. He's wanting the specific pitch Newton's gonna throw.
Newton really having a tough time finding the zone. Postseason baseball in Waldorf.
Speaking of other postseason baseball, Bethesda has just run up Metro South County with a score of 10-1.
Bottom of the 7th inning there. Home half of 6 from Regency Furniture. A wave and a miss at strike 3. Newton blows the fastball past him. And in the 9 spot is Mike Sweeney this evening. 1 for 2 and was hit by a pitch. And you kind of expected that from the big train, right? They have been so good throughout the year, especially late in the season. They've won 9 of their last 11, and it just makes sense that they're winning the way they are.
I mean, they've blown out most of their opponents, and just they're able to, once they have a lead, they're able to control that lead. It's kind of like the Aces. When they have a lead, they just control it, just able to control it and able to just destroy their opponent.
And perhaps some of the most dangerous teams, as Sweeney hits one off of his right shin, some of the most dangerous teams are those that don't necessarily start off the hottest, but really figure it out and know what they have on their team. And don't worry about the early season record. Build so that when they go into the playoffs, they know exactly the personnel and what they're dealing with. And that's exactly been the criteria for Bethesda.
There's also a thing with the Giants. They didn't really start off too hot, but they're able to pick up lots of momentum in mid-June and just were able to just deliver it.
The Giants, a season ago, were a team that was last in the entire Cal Ripken League, and this year they have just been magnificent.
They have been really good. checks on second.
Newton trying to get out of the inning and keep the score right where it is.
It's another strikeout for Newton.
Newton sets Sweeney down on strikes. Back-to-back punch-outs to end the inning. Senators leave one stranded. Top of 7 coming up. To lead off the away half of 7, in steps Bryce Herb. Tonight, he has been magical. 2 for 3 with an RBI. But his effort hasn't quite been reciprocated by the rest of his teammates.
Herb's been one of the few bright spots on this Cropdusters team tonight.
What is it that you think the Cropdusters have to do to try and fight in this postseason ball game, win or go home?
Well, I think the Cropdusters, what they have to do is they have to maybe try and fix the hitting. You know, take the hitting maybe a little bit, maybe aggressive, maybe a mix of aggressive and conservative, in my opinion, and try and get on base.
And getting on base hasn't been super difficult tonight for the Cropdusters. It's been all about trying to find a way to get those runs home.
Very similar issue with the Senators, and it all starts with the hitting, how each person hits.
8 guys stranded this evening for the Cropdusters. Bouncer to Boris at short. Comes up firing. Throw is in the dirt, and Kennedy can't handle it.
That is Kennedy's second time not being able to handle it. Maybe it could be something to do with that hand. You remember early in the game, that ball had hit off his arm or his hand. Maybe that might be playing a factor.
Has that area taped up around his hand. Down on the wrist. And in steps Jimmy Kirk.
I'd probably have to get my brother to describe, the parts of the hand, what plays into a factor.
Jimmy Kirk drove in a run with a sacrificed ground out in the third inning.
Oh-2 count coming up. You're going to want to try and just focus on contact.
Davis Rivers remains in the ball game, has thrown 2 innings so far. Popped up, foul ground. Guy giving chase. Boris as well, and the ball drops at their feet.
Kirk getting lucky off that as the ball just lands in foul territory. Might have bounced into the seats.
Now batting number 38, Jimmy Kirk.
And Kirk thrown a lifeline off of that fielding mistake from the Senators.
I mean, those are crucial fielding mistakes, but again, those really haven't affected the Senators too much because we're up 9-2, and they've played somewhat good defense, I would assume, Cody.
2 errors on the game to this point for the Senators.
They may have been usually concerned, but then again, they've been really good on offense and consistent on defense.
Exactly. Hasn't really played too much of a factor for this Senators pitching, who has been dead on this evening. One bouncer to Boris. He flips the second, throw to first. Well in time. 2 away.
A double play. Ian Kennedy able to redeem himself after that error. A good job on his part.
Second double play of the game that Kirk has grounded into.
And usually those double plays, they're caused by the... Oh, we have Scott Middleton coming out. But as mentioned before, those double plays, they usually end up because of those curveballs and those sliders these pitchers throw.
And that'll be all for Davis Rivers. Man, was he effective.
Really good performance by Mr. Furr.
Rivers was needed for just 2 1/3. Did not allow a single run and surrendered just 1 base hit. New pitcher to update you on when we come back from Waldorf. 9-2 Senators. Welcome back to Regency Furniture. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel up atop things in Waldorf. New pitcher into the ball game for your Senators is Ty Harris. And just left to wonder what the motivating factor behind this change is for Scott Middleton. Took out Davis Rivers, who had been dealing, just induced a double play ball. And in comes Ty Harris. Potentially the fact that it's Rivers' second appearance in 4 days.
Well, it could be he's trying to get him some rest, or Middleton believes he's done good enough for the Senators team.
You would expect that if things go well for number 35, he'll be used the rest of the way. No such opportunity in front of him this evening, but 2 saves on the year for Harris. Cut and a miss for strike 3. Harris sets Ahern down swinging to end the inning. Keeps things at status quo. 9-2, Senators. New pitcher into the ballgame for the Cropdusters. Can't quite tell you who it is at the moment. The yellow number's difficult to see from up here in the booth.
I think it's
1 pitch, 1 out as Logan Tribble grounds out to short.
Now batting number 7, Nathan Brewer.
Up comes Nathan Brewer. Had a big triple back in the second, which knocked in 2.
Brewer having a really good game tonight.
Big reason as to why the Senators are leading it the way they do. It has been in dominating fashion tonight from Southern Maryland.
Really great performance, and there's going to be some potential for, if they're able to pull this with a win, might see in the next game versus the Giants.
Sorry to correct you, partner, but it would be, in fact, the Aces most likely, with the Big Train dominating the way they are. They're the 3 seed, so they'll play the 2, and then the Senators would go on to play Alexandria. Brewer really got a hold of that one, but right at Hines, who's able to make the catch. Can't wait to see the stats on that one. That was ridiculous off the bat of Nathan Brewer. Just happened to be right at a guy.
Yeah, and for the guy to just stand there, I mean, that ball's coming really fast at you, and just able to just react and catch to it. It takes some skill and some guts.
And a first pitch broken bat for Carter Groen, who will go retrieve a new piece of wood. Senators by 7 in this wild card game. So glad you can join us for this presentation of Southern Maryland baseball. New pitcher came into the ball game, and he has been undeniable.
And we've yet to identify him. We apologize for that. Just hard to see the numbers because of the jerseys.
And Herb able to make a catch in the gap. 1, 2, 3 they go in the 7th. 9-2 Senators. Anthony Swendel lead off the away half of 8. And Ty Harris remains in the ballgame for your Senators. Playoff baseball from Regency Furniture. So glad you can join us. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel up in the booth.
And folks, we were able to identify that pitcher. We couldn't see his number, but he's number 2, Pavlos Pazricas, which in his previous game was against the Senators on Wednesday. As he only had 1 walk and he had an ERA of 212. And he also played in the All-Star game this year. He's a pretty good relief pitcher.
As is the man on the hill at the moment for Scott Middleton. Ty Harris has allowed just 11 walks across his 15 2/3 on the year. Last 2 times he's pitched, he's recorded a save. Most recently, it was on Tuesday against the Grays where he was locked down out of the pen, similar to the entire pitching staff that day. 4-2 victory for the Senators earlier in the week.
It's a crucial win needed for the Senators to get to where they are now.
Certainly. A shot deep to left field. Brewer looking up, back to the track. That one's out of here. A leadoff homer from Anthony Swenda gives the Cropdusters some life.
And it looks like the Cropdusters might have a little bit of light, but they've got a lot of work catching up to do.
No doubt. They trail by 6 runs. And up next, Parker Fry. One for 3 on the ball game. One bouncer to Sweeney at second.
Sounded like his bat was broken there, but it might have not been. So
Definitely sounded like a broken bat to me.
yeah, sort of a satisfying sound, a broken bat.
Okoye, the next to bat for the Cropdusters. And this squad from only trying to push out all they got left in them.
I mean, I don't know how you can come back this late. We've seen teams come back this late against the Senators. The example I can think of is the Thunderbolts. So they're going to need some good hitting and maybe a little bit of luck on the Cropdusters side if they want to try and come back in this game.
And you mentioned the Thunderbolts earlier in the year. The Senators were up 10-1 going into the 7th. Southern Maryland ended up winning the game, but it took a walk-off in the 9th after they had gone down 11-10. It was a 12-11 final.
Yeah, people were probably checking their heart rates after that game, making sure, are you okay? And yeah, it's just a baseball game.
Harris finds the zone with the fastball that he blows past Okoye. 2 away in the away half of 8. Senators 4 outs away in Waldorf. Nick Lukac is hitless in 3 trips to the dish.
He's not have a good night. Not a good night for him.
And the solo shot from Swenda, of course helpful, but that momentum quickly evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see, like, you get runs and hits, but if it's not enough, it's just not good enough for the Cropdusters, as it's some signs maybe next year or maybe a little bit into the game.
Cropdusters have made the playoffs each year they've been in the league. This is their 3rd season as a franchise. On the ground, routine play for Boris. That'll retire the side. Ty Harris allows just the solo shot. Southern Maryland by 6. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Waldorf. 9-3 Senators. And boy, have they looked good tonight, Zach.
They've just been just a fantastic game for them, and everyone's having a moment tonight. You get a moment, you get a moment. Everyone gets a moment tonight.
Ian Kennedy certainly had one back in the 6th where he launched a solo shot.
Everyone loves getting the home run, and every guy loves getting the home run. A good night for him.
Pavlos Piparakis remains in the ball game.
Senators players' reactions to that previous pitch almost hitting the foot.
And this is just how cruel baseball can be sometimes. It's showing for the Cropdusters tonight. Some of the best pitching they've had this year is who they've put out on the bump, but just haven't quite been able to come through.
Well, I think it also depends. Senators and Cropdusters have played each other a lot, and they've just adapted to each of.
Ian Kennedy able to beat out a high chopper down the first base line. And just about everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Cropdusters.
It is not their night, not their game, and might be payback from last year's playoff game.
8-0 a season ago. 9-3, the Senators lead it in the 8th.
Yeah. And I was mentioning before, they've played each other a lot, and it all comes to adapting to the team, adapting and learning from your mistakes against the previous team in order to get better and win against them.
And last season, you're exactly right. It was all Cropdusters. The script has completely flipped on its head tonight. McHugh doubled his last time up. Pitch misses way high. Advancing to second is Kennedy.
And also, it's just crucial mistakes by the Cropdusters tonight. Not handling balls, not getting guys home on base, just not going their way. And sometimes it's just these mistakes that beat themselves.
Southern Maryland struck first and then scored 4 in the second inning. Have not looked back since.
Now, I also don't think the Senators beat themselves. I just think that the Cropdusters the Senators have looked better tonight than the Cropdusters.
Southern Maryland has really just put it on this team from Olney. The Cropdusters have had a tough go of it. 2-2. Cranked deep to left field. And that will bang off the top of the wall. Kennedy on his horse around third. He's going to score. McHugh pulls into second with his second two-bagger of the ball game. And the ballpark robbing him on that one. That hit off the highest point on the wall it possibly could have.
Yeah, it's just when you think you got the home run and it's just, it hits off the wall. But even if it hits off the wall, it's going to ricochet off a player and get a double. At least you're getting the double.
And it just seems like this entire Southern Maryland lineup has come on strong late in the season. And gotta appreciate that man's efforts. Nate McHugh, who hit his first home run of the season earlier in the week, and another one right there. Liner down in front of Okoye. Holding at third is McHugh. Runners at the corners for your Senators. Still no outs in the inning.
Offensive advantage. Runner on first, runner on third.
And how about that? Mikey Guy has singled in each of his last 4 plate appearances.
What?
He has been remarkable this evening.
Unbelievable performance by Mikey Guy.
High chopper to first. Fry jumps up. steps on first for 1 out. Coming home is McHugh, and Guy slides into second safely. So productive out.
Kai Queen not able to get on base, but able to help his teammates score a run.
That plates one for the Senators, who lead it by 8. Piparakis just trying to close things out for the Cropdusters pitching tonight, and there's a little bloop shot in the center.
Another offensive advantage here for the Senators. Just back-to-back mistakes, and the pitching has just not been the best.
Now batting number 5, Mike.
And the third hit of the ball game for Silas Boris makes it first and third for your Senators. Mike Sweeney trying to drive home a run, and Mikey Guy, who stands just 90 feet away. Just about everything has gone the Senators' way tonight, and it's largely been thanks to early productivity, which gave them hope in this game, Zach.
Yeah, bouncing ahead early, getting ahead early. And you know how I said the Cropdusters had to find rhythm? Looks like the Senators have sort of found their rhythm as well. Whoa!
Broken bat on the ground to second. Swendel make the routine throw to first. 2 away.
That bat piece came flying. And it looks like a pizza pan.
Well, a ground out from Mike Sweeney will score one. Make the lead 9 for Southern Maryland. I mean, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but it's really just sort of magical what the Senators have done this evening. They really haven't shown this much control in a game this entire year.
No, they really have not. And most of their games, if this was probably early Senators, we'd probably see a really close game right now. Maybe the Senators would be up or down by 1 right now.
I mean, and their problem throughout this season, not just early in the year, but they had struggled to keep leads and hold those strong. Maybe they come out winning the game, but it doesn't look as dominant as it quite should have. Of course, still 1 inning of hitting left to go for the Cropdusters.
1 inning left. And the best thing about baseball is there's no timer. And you can take as much time as you want in each inning when it's hitting, considering you don't have 3 outs.
A lot of productive at-bats tonight for the Senators.
Pitching high is Pavriskis.
Everyone tonight, other than DeShazo and Queen, who came in to replace him, has gotten a hit.
Indeed. Just everyone gets a hit tonight. You get a hit. You get a hit. You get it. Everyone gets a hit. And I'm repeating myself again in that game against the Giants.
Now batting number 7, Nathan Root.
And just everything has gone right tonight for Southern Maryland, who are on top by 9 runs. Late in the ball game.
Yeah, just adding on the stats, padding the stats the Senators are doing right now.
Playoff baseball in Waldorf. 12-3 in favor of your Senators. The man out of Middle Tennessee back up. Redshirt freshman there. Hit 188 a year ago But man, has he been good for the Senators, and he continues. A ground ball through the hole on the right side. Throwing home is Herb rather. That's cut off by the first baseman, Fry. Make the lead double digits.
Other playoff baseball action, the Bethesda Big Train, they're up 12-4 against Metro South County Braves, and it looks like that game might be out of reach for Metro South County.
In the bottom of 8 there as well. Kind of a similar story in that the Big Train have dominated the entire way. And it's been the same thing tonight for your Senators. Another pitching change coming up from Adam Leader as he trots out to the mound. 13-3, Senators. Keep it right here. Alex Quinn into the ball game for the Cropdusters. First batter he'll face is Carter Groen.
And that is not a good batter to face when you're just in there. Because Groen is just a fantastic hitter.
Quinn actually made the start in the win on Wednesday against the Senators.
I remember speaking to Carter Groen when he won the Hitter of the Week. He said it really wasn't something he was aiming towards, and he said he's trying to be the best teammate he possibly can. He's really a team player. He doesn't really care about himself. He just cares about his teammates.
Quinn just trying to keep the score right where it is and to give his bats one last opportunity at the plate. The 1-2. Will get away from the catcher Ahern. Sprinting home is Tribble. He'll be in safely. Add another to the already lopsided advantage for your Senators. And has got to be satisfying this evening for Scott Middleton, who recently has been on the opposite end of these lopsided ball games. Tonight, it's in the Senators' favor in the biggest moment of the year.
It is in the Senators' favor, and
Swing and a miss down in the dirt. Will bring an end to the inning. Senators on top by 11. We'll try to close it out on the other side.
Yes, sir, Jerome.
Ty Harris comes out after 1 1/3 innings, giving up just 1 run with 1 hit. That was the homer off the bat of Swenda to lead off the 8th. And into the ballgame comes Luke Trout, who was wonderful in the second game against the Cropdusters on Wednesday, through 4 2/3. Boy, was he good.
He was good, and just a really good relief pitcher. He truly is. Also, no relation to Mike Trout.
Certainly not. Luke Trout, however, a very talented arm for the Senators. Strikeout numbers nearly even with the walks on the season for Trout. 2-2. Called strike 3. He dots the down and away corner. Trout finding his spots early in this appearance.
Scoreboard having technical difficulties.
Lineup card flips over for what will likely be the final time for Adam Leader. Hines 1 for 4 on the ballgame.
Hines, he kind of has had a okay ball game, but I feel like Kirk did a somewhat decent job, and I think Herb and Kirk are probably the team staying out. Some of the bright spot in tonight's game for the Cropdusters.
And in all likelihood, the Senators will be able to hold on to this one, and if they are able to do so, tomorrow night they'll play against the Alexandria Aces, with the Bethesda Big Train taking down Metro South County by a 16-4 final. Performance of similar magnitude to this one by Southern Maryland. The pitch. Slow on the ground, Sweeney fields it. Throw to Kennedy. He'll be in time. 2 away. Senators 1 out away from victory in Waldorf.
1 out of the way, and then you take on Goliath in the tournament.
Aces the 1 seed. Big Train will go on and play Gaithersburg. Lifted down the right field line. Coming on is Groen. That'll bounce off the white chalk. Throw to second will be offline, and Bryce Herb keeps the game going with a 2-out double.
It's just called playing for pride at this point for the Cropdusters. You get at least 1 run, maybe even a double. It's nothing too serious.
Senators by 11. Nate McHugh will go have a quick talk with Luke Trout out on the mound. And then immediately return back to his spot. This is what you've been waiting for all year out of the Senators. Great batting. We've seen it at times. But then the bullpen coming through the way they have, just putting it all together this evening.
Indeed, just a really, really great night for the Senators. And a proud moment for the Senators team as well. And they're going to go play the Aces tomorrow night. And it's going to be a really David versus Goliath matchup.
This has kind of seemed like something the Senators have been building to the entire year. A liner into the left field gap. Kirk rounds first, and that's where he'll hold up with an RBI single that knocks home Bryce Herb. And that will make the lead 10 for the Senators. Connor Spellman, the new man into the game for Quinn Ahern. Line drive will trickle into left field as Connor Spellman comes into the game and is productive at the plate.
Now we're seeing the inconsistent side of the Senators, but it could be because they've made some fielding adjustments. And they just have to finish this ball game.
Certainly at this point, you can understand somewhat of the letting off the gas from Southern Maryland, who is up by 10 runs and have played a phenomenal ball game.
You do not let up off the gas in any circumstances. And even if you're blowing a team out, you got to just keep pounding away to the very last minute or out or inning.
Scott Middleton trying to calm down his guy, Luke Trout, as an arm readies in the Senators' pen. And really a luxury to have used as few arms as they did. And you'd think that Ty Harris will be ready to go again on Monday with just throwing 1 1/3.
Ball to start the count.
Anthony Swenda back to the plate, homered last inning. Grounder to Sweeney at second. He'll flip on to first. Your Senators win it. Southern Maryland by 10 in Waldorf. Do you believe it? They played a near perfect ball game in this one.
Just a great game and a great way to end off the home season. This is the Senators' last home game. And
the Senators, to correct that statement, will play at home on Monday against the Alexandria Aces. 2 of the games of that series will be on the road, the first and third if needed. But the Senators, big winners tonight. Zach, let's talk about it. Both the offense and the pitching came through.
Just a really great. I was really stoked about the hitting. The hitting was just my moment of the game, and I feel like if I were to give a player of the game, it has to go to Mike Sweeney. Just a great game he had.
Sweeney tonight was phenomenal at second base. Had an RBI in the 8th, a single back in the 2nd, and one guy I'd like to point out as well is Ian Kennedy. And to add on to that, Mikey Guy, who singled in each of his last 4 trips to the dish. And the Senators, big winners from Regency Furniture, 14-4, your final. They keep on dancing. And we'll be back with you tomorrow night. I'll be on the road from Alexandria to bring a radio call to your homes. 14-4, Southern Maryland. With that, we say so long from Waldorf. Cody Wagner, Zach Kimmel. Senators continue on to play Alexandria tomorrow evening.